Hi, Councillor Nagpal. Hi, Councillor Nagpal.
Hello, good evening, everyone.
Evening. Thanks for making it perfectly on time. And in fact, thanks to everybody. Everybody's very punctual. I guess we should wait for the exact hour of 7 o'clock. We're expecting quite a short meeting, but feel free to bring the debate if you need it. And obviously turn your mobiles off or silent. And Councillor Ball, almost pretty much on time as well. Okay, thank you and welcome to the Boundaries panel. The COVID protocols are still in charge, so speak without, take your mask off only to speak, as I understand. So we start off with apologies for absence and substitutions. There are, I believe, none. Councillor Nagpal is virtual, so she won't be able to vote, but that's about it. Urgent matters, I believe we have none. And matters to be considered in private, also none, I believe. Declarations of interest from anyone? I don't think we expect any. And does anybody have anything they want to raise from the minutes of the last meeting? Okay. Well, in that case, can we agree the minutes from last meeting? Agreed. And then we move on to pretty much the only meat of the agenda, which is the polling place changes for the election, which is fast coming up in 73 days or something. Ross, can you Ross or Santup, can you briefly explain these two polling place changes we have to make? And just before you do that, I mean, obviously, it's very good news that the COVID situation. I remember back in November, we were talking about how if COVID was really bad, we might have to reconsider some of the recommendations we made because of social distancing, etc. But because of the way it's gone and the government dropping pretty much all restrictions this week, it looks like we will be able to go ahead. So Ross, can you just bring us up to date on that and these polling place changes?
That's correct, Councillor. It wasn't a slam dunk that we were going to use them all. We did consult with health and safety. We've carried out risk assessments. They're not perfect anyway. I think we all know that, but they're a necessity. So we've taken the decision that we are going to use all 12. I think we just need to be prepared that if we are going to be applying some kind of COVID measures across all our polling stations, but for those temporary huts, it's not going to be possible to apply those to the max. So if you recall back at the GLA, the ones we did use, it was 1 in, 1 out. Well, that's simply not going to be possible. So we'll be encouraging people to wear face masks, but not mandating it. And we'll try our best to get people in and out of the things as quickly as possible to avoid queues. But yes, we take the decision that we are going full steam ahead. So we will be using all 12. I don't know whether anybody's got any questions on those before we move on to the changes. Happy to answer any.
Councillor Mahfouz.
Sorry, I should have raised it on the minutes of the meeting, but just to confirm, I think, just for the sake of the minutes of this meeting, that the decision that we took last time around about the Northfields Library, that obviously had to be confirmed in between the two meetings. I believe that's been confirmed now, isn't it, about the move to the polling station to Northfields Library? So probably just worth noting in the minutes of this meeting that has actually been approved, because otherwise we don't necessarily have a record of that.
Yeah, technically that was that was left over. I guess it's sort of matters arising from the minutes is that after I think it was Councillor Conti raised the issue of Northfields, and Councillor Mahfouz might have been. Councillor Conti went along with that. Yeah. And then we had a map suggested by Ross, and as chair, I agreed with him. So are we all agreed that Northfields change should go ahead? Councillor Ball, did you want to raise them?
Yeah, so it was on what Ross was saying about the temporary polling places. So I'm not sure the detail isn't quite firmed up yet, but is there a likelihood, is there more likelihood than usual of queues outside the temporary polling stations if there is some sort of social distancing requirement still in place?
It's difficult to know. I think if it's as we expect and the situation is going to be much better, then there shouldn't be any more queues outside them than there are normally. However, we just don't know with this thing, do we? Some variant could pop up nearer the time, and it'll be too late for us to change the places because obviously they'll be on the back of poll cards, etc. So who knows nearer the time? But as it stands, I'm not expecting larger queues than we would have normally, because as I say, we'll be applying COVID measures across the board, but just not as forcefully at those stations, put it that way. So that we'll be a bit more lenient at those stations because simply we can't because they're very small. So we won't be able to put any significant measures in place at those.
Just wondered if I could ask a follow-on point, is about postal voters. Have you got any sort of rough idea of what sort of sign up we've had since November?
Very little sign up since November, but we're going from a high mark, 70,000 plus. So we're working on the basis that we will have in between 75 and 78,000 come election day. Deadline for postal votes 19th of April, so we're a way off that. Parties may be being proactive. We'll pick up a few thousand just from our comms campaigns. So yeah, between 75 and 78,000 at a guess.
Councillor Sabius?
Yeah, I'm quite reassured. Thanks for that, Ross, in terms of the opening, and I can understand needing to cut slack to make people go through. Can I just clarify on that basis? Well, obviously polls close at 10 p.m. Are we going to show some leeway in terms of people in even a socially distanced queue and all the rest of it? I presume all of that comes into play as well, even though it's a local election. I'm not sure we'll have queues at 10 o'clock in the evening, but just wanted to clarify to make sure our democracy works as such. Thank you.
Sure, good point. Yeah, so at 10 o'clock, if anybody, we've got processes in place at all stations, never mind those. So if anybody's in the queue at 10 o'clock, then we have, we have a member of staff who will stand at the back of that queue with a high vis to make sure nobody joins it and ensure everybody, gets their vote. So they're difficult. Temporary huts are difficult. A normal station, if we had queues, we'd throw lots of staff at it, split the registers up. We just don't have the room to do that in temporary huts. I'm sure you can appreciate. So if there is a queue, just be rest assured that anybody in that queue will be allowed to vote after 10 o'clock if they join the queue before 10 or at 10.
I think the other thing we don't want another Storm Eunice on election day. Some of them are blow away. Okay, so I'm going to just move on to these polling place changes. Firstly, East Acton. Sorry. State the change. Yes, exactly. Yeah. So, especially for anyone who happened to be listening us on YouTube, the existing polling place for AP polling district is the Scout Hut in Eastbourne Avenue, which has been decommissioned and is about to be sold off. So, will obviously not be available in May. The proposed polling place is Friary Park Community Centre. Can I just ask? At the last meeting, when it was discussed that Friary Park is being redeveloped and there's a new community centre being built. But this community centre is the existing one?
Correct. Correct, Chair. Yes, and although there may be some works on the actual building, we've had confirmation that it will be operational, and so we can use it. Chair, I have some late comments from ward councillors to be fed back orally. Is this a good time to feed those back, probably at the commencement of this?
Yeah, I spoke to Councillor Patel last night, and he didn't have any problems, but you've spoken to the other two.
Yeah, well, I've had feedback from Councillor Catherine Crawford and Councillor Steve Donnelly. They both have concerns about the route that voters will now have to take to get to the centre. It's a kind of a circular route. I do understand those concerns. I think where we've agreed at is subject to agreement tonight, that I will meet with Councillor Crawford on the site, and we'll look to put up some extensive signage on the day. So polling station this way, arrows, etc., which will take voters around the estate and into the centre. It's quite a well the polling station that we've lost, which is the Scout Hut, is quite an established station there. So of course we'll put some signage at that station to inform voters who haven't read their poll cards that obviously the site's changed, and we'll put a mini map on there to tell them how to get there. But it's just unfortunate that the Scout Hut, we've tried, but it's just being decommissioned. I think it was on the verge of being decommissioned at the last election for May, but we sent our FM people down there and made some extensive amends to the Scout Hut to make it workable. But it's just not possible now. It's flatly, we can't use it. So the only other fixed site in that polling district is that centre.
Okay, I'm going to ask the panel if they agree to that change, and then we'll move on to the other one. Are you agreed? Thank you. So the other change is in Dormers Wells ward. The Dormers Wells Play Centre was the current polling place, and the suggestion is that it be moved to the leisure centre, Dormers Wells Leisure Centre. That is because the play centre is currently undergoing some work to convert it into a youth centre and will not be available in May. Have you got any more to say on that, Ross?
So it's as we were last year, really. We used the leisure centre last year for the same reason. It's still not been redeveloped, so it's a repeat of last year. However, the slight change to last year is that we actually shut the leisure centre last year. We're not doing that this year. So the leisure centre will remain open. We'll put measures in place so both it can operate as a leisure centre and as a polling station, so as to not disrupt residents and school kids and whatnot. So it's exactly the same, but we're keeping the leisure centre open as well as it being a polling station. That's the recommendation anyway.
And are the panel agreed with that change? Oh, sorry, Councillor Rice.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Chair. Sorry, I'm just looking at the map. It's difficult to really tell if you don't really know the area. But there will be an area of grass, which looks like a playing field in between where the two polling stations are. And it's just probably quite difficult to actually work out how many people this might affect in terms of how many people are going to have to walk across that field who might not have otherwise had to have done so. And I'm just hoping that it will be like that the pathway they might use is going to be well lit, going to make the people feel safe. There's going to be nothing there that might deter people from using that route and to walk across there. Because I've tried looking at the kind of on Google, but it just I can just see a small path, and I can't really just see if it's in any way kind of hemmed in by walls or anything. It's difficult to see just how safe it might feel to people. But I don't know if anyone else has got any kind of knowledge on that of the area.
Before you come in, Ross, I think Councillor Matthews.
Thanks, Chair. Yeah, I don't think anybody would be crossing the park, to be honest. I think they're probably coming off the main road. So in terms of access to that site, and it's a very well known site, and if we've used it already, then I think there'll be minimal disruptions to people the locality. So it's obviously it's probably easier to get to the leisure centre, to be honest, than the play centre, because it's just off a main road, number of bus routes that go past it. People use the leisure centre probably more than certainly would be using it more than the play centre as well. And it's great to hear that we can keep it open at the same time, that so people don't lose out on the opportunity to keep fit as well as exercising their right to vote.
Yes, hopefully what lots of people are doing, voting and swimming, or voting and going to the gym. Ross, any other comments? Any comments on what Councillor Rice mentioned?
I don't know the site myself. I've been there a number of times. What we can do is we'll do a quick check of the lighting to make sure that the lighting, that there is as I recall, a lit road to the venue. But I can't categorically say that the lighting is good or bad. But what I will say, I'll take a site visit there and make sure that the lighting on the approach is suitable. I presume it was. We didn't have any. We would have done a check before the last election, so we'll do another one. We didn't have any complaints. I think it's also worth feeding back for the panel verbally from a verbal feedback from Councillor Ranjit Deer, Ward Councillor. He supports the change. He thinks it's fine. He thinks it also has the added benefit of the car park, easier for people to. Whether encouraging people to drive or not these days, but it does have an extensive car park to it, so it is handy in that respect as well.
Okay,
but I'll make sure the lighting is okay.
Yeah, lighting check would be appreciated. On that basis, are we agreed with that change? Agreed. Okay, I think unless Ross, you have any late breaking news, I think that's the agenda completed. I think you're muted, but I'm taking that as yes. Okay.
Yes.
Thanks very much. Well, good luck in the run up to and on election day to us all, in fact, but especially to the your department, who's going to have the job of overseeing it all, and we will convene again, or whoever is on this panel, after the election. Thanks very much.
Thank you all.
Sorry. Thanks, everyone. I think we should probably thank the chair for his chairing of the committee. So that was superb committee chair.